Alrighty, good morning. So in today's video, I want to discuss the topic of triggers and other people, right? I think this is a very common thing of being a human. My cap looks a bit weird. Is struggling with, maybe you get comfortable and peaceful and equanimous spending time on your own, but then you're around certain friends, certain family, non-friends, people you don't like, colleagues, work, politicians, people online, social media. You see a lot of this, celebrities, whatever it is, right? This is the fucking epitome of human society, is endless reaction to each other, right? It's what all the drama that fuels people in many aspects of life stems from, is the belief that we need to react when we feel triggered, right? So the key thing is that you do feel triggered, right? So that's what we want to discuss here, is how, even if you feel triggered, to not really be triggered, okay? So that might sound paradoxical, and maybe it is to begin with, but it eventually makes a lot of sense. So the first thing you want to examine is this core belief saying that I need to react when I feel the trigger feeling, right? So let's come up with an example. Let's say you go hang out with somebody and they say something that you really don't like. Maybe it's personal about you, or it attacks an identity or a belief system that you hold. And your mind, generally the thoughts associated with this go along the lines of, they shouldn't have said that. I wish they hadn't said that. I don't like it. I don't want to hang out with this person anymore. They annoy me, right? It's a feeling of annoyance and irritation. And what you want to do is you want to start explore, where does the reaction stem from? Okay, so maybe it's challenging to do it at first directly in the moment as it happens. So a good practice is to be alert for the next time it happens, and trust me, it shouldn't take long. It could honestly be anything, right? It can be a reaction to an email, something you see on your phone, right? It plays out everywhere. And just see the next time that you get that feeling of, this annoys me, right? This triggers me, right? People will generally want to go and complain to somebody about it, bitch and moan. And explore that, right? Stop. Okay, what am I actually feeling here? Generally there's two components here. There's the thoughts, but there's also a visceral feeling to it, right? There's something that's like hot and like triggered in your body, right? Maybe it's like a clenching or like a hot and bothered feeling. And we feel restless and like we need to react from that space. So firstly, you want to let go of the thoughts, right? Just let the thoughts be the thoughts. So the mind is saying, I need to switch my hands, my arm is fucking dying here. Let's say the mind is saying, they shouldn't have done this, like the should word, right? They shouldn't have done this, they shouldn't have said this, I don't like this, I need to react, right? You can still respond, but there's a difference between response and reaction. So just feel into, what is it that is so uncomfortable? How does this make me feel? Because what starts to happen, like why do you even want to do this, right? Because you're the one that creates unnecessary suffering for yourself by reacting to everything that everybody else is doing, that your mind is saying they shouldn't be doing, right? So when you can just start to see the mind react to things, you can just let those thoughts go and become more interested in, what does that make you feel, right? So again, somebody does something you don't like, your mind has a reaction, a story. It can be a logical and relevant story, like, oh yeah, that politician shouldn't be doing that, fuck him, he's messing up the world. Okay, but right now you're the one sitting at home getting up into a ball of stress about this politician who, whatever, he's just doing his thing. Not that it's right what he's doing, but to act from a place of response is you can logically go like, is there anything I can do about this? Maybe there is, most of the time there isn't. And then you're like, okay, well, I don't need to suffer unnecessarily then. But reacting, we sit and we boil in ourselves of like how things should be and how unfair it is that they're not that way. All right. So the key is to not get so pulled into the story of what your mind is telling you, but to really get more and more curious about how does it make you feel. And to even actively trigger yourself, right? So to sit and to bring to mind the stories or the situation or the people that really trigger you, and to kind of be curious. What would it mean if I don't react? What if I just don't react? Okay, but thoughts are saying, but. You see, this is the thing, we get pulled into the thoughts, so then we're not even conscious that the reaction is playing out. We're just in the reaction. So for me, I've always liked to use this like alongside like meditation, right? So it's nothing complicated, just sitting, in silence, putting away distractions, and purposefully bringing to mind something that recently triggered me, and realizing that we also have a belief of how things should have played out, right? So we're less, it's both, but in essence, the problem is that things are the way they are, right? And then the mind is upset because things are not this way. So remind yourself that they aren't that way, right? It could also be like a close thing, like it can get deeper. Sorry, my voice cracked there. It can get deeper with time as well. The more you do this, you can start to uncover like reactions to like past traumas and stuff like that of like family. It's like maybe you felt like a parent should have been there to support you when they weren't, or a partner should have been there to support you when they weren't. And remind yourself that in that moment they weren't, right? So feel the resistance, like things they shouldn't have done that. And then to really kind of pull up the juice of this, like emphasize to yourself that is the reality of things, right? So for example, maybe it feels like there should have been someone there to support you in that moment, and remind yourself that no, there wasn't. And then what you're not doing, it's not like you're like purposely trying to spiral yourself into like negative thinking. This is not the point here. It's to pull up what is it that we're actually afraid of feeling underneath this, right? Because we get so caught up in the mental stories, and that's what people just act out, right? It's like somebody does something, your mind tells you everything you should react. It's like, no, defend yourself, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. And then, people just get caught up in all this unnecessary conflict. Whereas if you can work through this on your own and to be like, okay, yeah, this is the reality of my situation. This person isn't here to support me. That person is the way they are. That person isn't doing what I want them to do. And you feel it, and you feel that raw, uncomfortable feeling underneath, and you sit with it more and more and more, and you ask yourself, do I need to react to this? Or can I just sit with it? Right? And then it can get really uncomfortable, but then you just sit with it, and you can relax your body and, relax, but just say like, do I actually need to do anything about this? Because what's happened is we became so conditioned into believing that when that feeling arose, that raw, uncomfortable feeling, we do anything to get out of it. And we form this like belief that I need to react. And then we don't even see that belief is there, right? That there's this like unconscious belief saying I need to react. We don't even know that it's there, but it's based on nothing, right? It's based on habit. So if you start to investigate this experientially through the feeling, and you can also ask yourself, like, is there anything that I can find in my experience that is compelling me to move out and react, right? It can be uncomfortable, and over time it gets easier, right? As I said, you can move on to deeper things over time, but also over time you can go out and be equanimous, right? You can be around challenging people, challenging situations, and you can be fine. You can be in yourself. You can be comfortable feeling into what you're feeling, regardless of how this other person is behaving, because that's their shit, right? It doesn't actually need to trigger you. They can be a dickhead. They can, and you can respond, right? Sure, if they're abusing somebody around you, it doesn't mean you have to be like, okay, I'm not going to react. You can respond. You can be like, hey, that's not right. But that's very different to somebody like, that like triggered feeling that we've all experienced it, and you see it in people where they're reacting out of their own kind of impulses, so you can have like a much more calm approach. And it's powerful because you don't get annoyed by people anymore, right? You can still not enjoy spending time with somebody, right? Like I can still feel how certain people, I just don't like how they make me feel. But in the moment when I'm in that situation, it's okay. I can feel into that feeling. I'm not boiling in my thoughts of like, this person shouldn't be this way, this person shouldn't be this way. That is how that person is. You can have compassion for them being that way, but you can also choose who to spend your time with, right? You can respond and remove yourself from the situation. Like, for myself, I don't really like this. It doesn't mean you can't do stuff like that, right? You can actually do it better because you can have a clearer mind and just be like, okay, I'm going to choose what's best for myself here. So yeah, that's what we got for today. I see it a lot online, people getting triggered here, triggered there. People, with chronic illness and other things in life, you just get triggered by, what do I do when this person does that? It's not about the other people, right? Sure, it can seem like it is. And as I said, if you're with really shitty people, then you can change that. But still, it's always about your own reactions. All right, all the best.